Nia Aking had just started to feel like her life was finally coming together. At 27, living in Nairobi, she had something she had dreamed about for years: her own apartment. It wasn't big or fancy, but to her it was everything. Every chair, every plate, every little decoration had a story behind it. She had worked for all of it on her own. That night felt normal. She was in the kitchen stirring a pot of food, enjoying the quiet. Soft music was playing in the background, and for once her mind wasn't full of stress. She actually smiled to herself, thinking, I made it. Then suddenly, bang, bang, bang. The noise was so loud it made her jump. Someone was hitting her door hard, like they were trying to break it. Break down the door. This is my apartment, a man's voice shouted. Her heart dropped instantly. She knew that voice. Uncle Otieno. Confused and scared, she slowly walked toward the door. The banging didn't stop. When she got closer, she heard more voices. Her father, her mother, even her cousins. They were arguing loudly with the building security outside. Her hands were shaking as she opened the door just a little. That's when she heard her mother say something that made her blood run cold. This apartment belongs to the family now. Nia froze. She looked at their faces, serious, angry, determined. In that moment, everything became clear. This wasn't a visit. This wasn't a misunderstanding. They had come to take her home. Nia didn't get lucky in life. Nothing was handed to her. Everything she had, she earned the hard way. Growing up in Kisumu, life was never easy. While other kids focused only on school, Nia was always doing something extra to survive. She sold snacks after class, helped neighbors with chores, and sometimes even stayed up late doing small online jobs just to make a little money. It was exhausting, but she had one clear goal in her mind. She didn't want to depend on anyone. Her family didn't understand her. Instead of supporting her, they kept criticizing her. Why are you always working? You act like you're better than us. You're becoming too independent. That word, independent, was always used against her like it was something bad. But Nia didn't stop. Even when she felt tired, even when she felt alone, she kept going. She saved every coin she could. While others were spending on clothes or outings, she was thinking about her future. She was thinking about freedom. Years later, when she finally moved to Nairobi, things slowly started to change. She got a stable job, managed her expenses carefully, and kept saving. It wasn't easy at all. There were months she barely had enough for herself, but she stayed focused. Then one day it finally happened. She bought her own apartment. It was a small place, nothing too fancy, but to her it felt like a palace. It meant she had made it on her own. No help, no shortcuts. But the reaction from her family wasn't what she expected. There was no celebration. No "we're proud of you." No happiness. Instead, their attitude changed in a strange way. They started asking questions. Too many questions. How much did it cost? Are you sure you paid all of it? Who helped you? Do you have savings left? At first, Nia thought maybe they were just curious. But deep down, something didn't feel right. It didn't feel like love. It felt like they were calculating something. And she had no idea that this was just the beginning. Nia was still standing near the door, trying to understand what was happening, when her father, Benson Aking, stepped forward. His face was serious, like he had already made a decision for her. Open the door properly, he said firmly. We need to talk. Nia slowly opened it a bit more, but she didn't step aside. Her heart was beating fast. Something felt very wrong. Her father didn't waste time. We've discussed it as a family, he said. Kevin will be moving into this apartment. Nia blinked, confused. What? Her mother quickly added, your brother and his wife need a place. You know they're struggling. For a second, Nia thought she misunderstood. But then her uncle nodded and her cousins stood there like this was completely normal. This apartment is perfect for them, her father continued. You're alone. You don't need all this space. Nia felt like the ground had disappeared under her feet. I bought this place, she said quietly. With my own money. But her father shook his head like it didn't matter. We're family, he replied. What's yours is ours. Then her mother said the words that hurt the most. You're not even married, Nia. Why do you need an apartment like this? Let your brother use it. He has a wife, a future. It hit her hard. So this is what they really thought. All those years she worked, all the sacrifices she made, none of it mattered to them. To them she was just a backup plan. Someone they could take from whenever they wanted. Her brother Kevin finally spoke, standing behind them like he had been waiting for this moment. Don't make this difficult, he said. You can always find another place. Nia looked at him, shocked. There was no guilt on his face, no hesitation. That's when it fully clicked. This wasn't about helping Kevin. This wasn't about family support. This was about control. They didn't respect her hard work. They didn't see her as equal. They believed they had the right to take what she built, just because she was part of the family. And standing there, surrounded by the people who were supposed to protect her, Nia realized something painful. She was completely on her own. The next few days were a nightmare for Nia. Her phone didn't stop ringing. Calls, messages, voice notes. One after another. It felt like her entire family had decided to attack her at the same time. First it was her mother. "Nia, how can you do this to your own brother?" she cried on the phone. "He needs you. We raised you better than this." Nia tried to explain, tried to stay calm. "Mom, I worked for that place. It's mine." But her mother didn't listen. She just kept crying louder, making Nia feel like she was the one doing something wrong. Then came her father. "If you don't agree, then don't call me your father again," he said coldly. "You're choosing money over your family." That one hit deep. Nia sat there in silence after the call ended, staring at the wall. Her chest felt heavy. And it didn't stop there. Her aunts started calling. Her uncles. Even distant relatives she barely spoke to. "I heard what you did. You've become selfish. Is this how you repay your family? Shame on you." Every call made her feel smaller. Every message made her question herself. At night she couldn't sleep properly. She kept thinking, am I really wrong? Should I just give it to them? Maybe it's not worth losing my family. But then another thought would come. Why should I give up something I worked so hard for? That question stayed in her mind. She remembered all the late nights, all the struggles, all the times she had no one to support her. No one helped her then. No one stood by her. So why now, when she finally had something, everyone suddenly had a claim on it? Still, the pressure was too much. It wasn't just about the apartment anymore. It was emotional. It was personal. They were using love, guilt, and fear to break her. And the hardest part? It was working. Nia felt torn in two. One side of her wanted peace, wanted her family back. But the other side, the quiet, stronger part inside her, knew something wasn't right. Deep down she could feel it. This wasn't love. This was manipulation. While her family kept calling, pressuring, and trying to break her, there was one thing they didn't know. Nia had been smarter than they thought. From the very beginning she had made sure everything about that apartment was 100% hers. Not just emotionally, but legally too. She remembered the day she signed the papers. Her hands were slightly shaking, but her mind was clear. She had asked questions, double-checked every detail, and made sure there was no confusion about ownership. The apartment was fully registered under her name. Only her name. No joint ownership. No shared rights. No hidden claims. Just Nia aching. She had also paid for everything from her own bank account. Every deposit, every fee, every small cost that came with it. It all came from her hard-earned savings. There was no help from her family. Not even a single coin. And because she didn't trust easily, she had kept all her documents safe. The title deed, payment receipts, bank statements. Everything was neatly organized and locked away. She even had digital copies saved just in case. At the time it felt like she was being extra careful. Now it felt like the best decision she had ever made. Because deep down Nia knew something important. Feelings can be twisted but facts cannot. No matter how much her family shouted, cried, or tried to guilt her, the truth was simple. They had no legal right to that apartment. Not her father. Not her mother. Not her brother Kevin. No one. For the first time in days, Nia felt a small sense of strength return. The fear inside her didn't disappear, but it changed. It became something else. Something steadier. Confidence. She realized that this wasn't just a family argument anymore. This was about her rights, her future, her independence. And the most powerful part? She had proof. All those years of hard work, all the careful planning, all the sacrifices, they weren't just memories. They were her protection. And if her family thought they could take everything from her so easily, they were about to be very wrong. A few days later things went from bad to completely out of control. Nia was at work, trying to focus, but her mind was already heavy from everything happening. She kept checking her phone, half expecting another call or message from her family. Then suddenly her phone rang. It was the building management. "Hello, Nia," the manager said quickly, his voice serious. "Are you aware that some people are trying to access your apartment right now?" Nia's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "They've brought a locksmith," he said. "They're saying they have permission to enter." For a second Nia couldn't even speak. "A locksmith," she whispered. "Yes, but we stopped them. They're outside your door arguing with security." Nia stood up immediately, her hands shaking, not from fear this time but from anger. They didn't just argue with her. They didn't just pressure her. Now they were trying to break into her home, her own family. "Do not let them in," she said firmly. "I'm on my way." She grabbed her bag and rushed out, her heart pounding the entire way. So many thoughts were running through her mind. How could they go this far? What if security wasn't there? What if they actually got inside? By the time she reached the apartment building, the scene was exactly as described. Her father, Uncle Otieno, and even her brother Kevin were standing there with a locksmith, arguing loudly with security. "This is our family's property," her father was shouting. Nia walked straight toward them, her face no longer confused or scared. "What do you think you're doing?" she said, her voice sharp. They all turned, surprised to see her. Her uncle tried to speak, but Nia didn't let him. "You brought a locksmith?" she said, her anger clear now. "You were going to break into my apartment?" Her brother avoided eye contact. Her father looked irritated, not ashamed. "We were just trying to solve this," he said. "No," Nia replied firmly. "You were trying to take something that isn't yours." Security stood beside her, backing her up. The locksmith looked uncomfortable, clearly realizing this was not what he signed up for. In that moment, something inside Nia changed. This wasn't just pressure anymore. This wasn't just emotional manipulation. This had crossed a line. And she finally understood something very clearly. They were not going to stop. Not unless she stopped them. And this time, she knew she had to do it properly. After what happened with the locksmith, Nia didn't wait anymore. She knew talking, explaining, and hoping they would understand was not going to work. They had already crossed every line. This was no longer just a family problem. This was serious. That same evening, she made a decision. She needed legal help. The next day, Nia contacted a lawyer named Wanjiku Kamau. Sitting in her office, Nia explained everything from the beginning. The pressure, the threats, and what happened at the apartment. Wanjiku listened carefully without interrupting. Then she looked at Nia and said something that made everything feel clearer. "You've done nothing wrong," she said calmly. "And legally they have no right to your property." For the first time in days, Nia felt like someone was finally on her side. The lawyer advised her to take proper legal steps. She explained how Nia could protect herself, including filing a formal warning against her family if they tried to enter again. She also told her to keep all records, calls, messages, everything as proof. "This is about your rights," Wanjiku said. "And you have to protect them." Nia nodded. This time she didn't feel confused. She felt ready. After leaving the office, Nia went straight home and spoke with the building management and security team. She explained the full situation and made it very clear. No one, no matter who they were, should be allowed near her apartment without her permission. Security took it seriously. They updated their records and promised to stop any future attempts. But Nia didn't stop there. She changed her locks immediately. Then she installed extra safety measures, stronger door locks, a camera at her door, and even a small alarm system. Every step made her feel a little more in control. Her apartment no longer just looked like her home. It felt protected. That night, as she sat alone, the silence felt different. It wasn't peaceful like before, but it wasn't weak either. It was strong. Because Nia had finally stopped reacting. Now she was taking control. And for the first time since everything started, she wasn't afraid anymore. A few days later, just when things had started to feel a little quiet, they came back. This time it wasn't late at night. It was the middle of the day. Nia was inside her apartment when she heard familiar voices outside again. Loud, angry, and confident, like they still believed they could scare her. Her heart started beating faster. But this time she didn't panic. She didn't rush to open the door. She didn't hide either. She walked slowly toward the door and stopped. She could hear them clearly now. Her father, her mother, her uncle Otieno. Even her brother Kevin was there again. "Open the door, Nia," her father shouted. "Stop this nonsense." There was a pause. In the past, this is where she would have felt weak, confused, maybe even guilty. But not anymore. Nia took a deep breath and spoke, loud enough for everyone outside to hear her clearly. "This is my apartment," she said, her voice steady. "You have no right to be here." Silence. For a moment no one said anything. It was like they weren't expecting her to talk back like that. Then her mother tried again, her voice softer but still manipulative. "Nia, don't embarrass us like this. Just open the door so we can talk." Nia didn't move. "There's nothing to talk about," she replied firmly. Her father's tone changed immediately. "You think you can disrespect us like this? But before things could get louder, security stepped in. "Sir, you need to leave," one of the guards said calmly but firmly. "The owner has made it clear you are not allowed here." That word, owner, hit differently. Nia stood quietly behind the door listening. Her uncle tried to argue. Her brother said something under his breath. Her mother sounded frustrated. But this time no one was listening to them. Security didn't back down. Within minutes, their voices became louder, angrier, and then slowly faded away as they were forced to leave. For the first time they didn't win. They didn't get their way. They walked away, angry, shocked, and completely humiliated. Inside the apartment, Nia leaned against the door, her hands slightly shaking. But not from fear. From strength. Because this time, she didn't break. She stood her ground. After that day, word spread fast. Stories traveled through phone calls, WhatsApp groups, and whispered conversations at family gatherings. Everyone seemed to have an opinion on what happened at Nia's apartment. Some relatives were quick to criticize her. "She's being selfish," they said. "Family comes first and she just refuses." A few even suggested she should have given in, that maybe she had gone too far. Nia heard about it from some distant cousins and aunts, and at first the words stung. It was hard not to feel a little doubt creep in. But alongside the criticism, there were others who quietly admired her. They reached out in private messages or sent small texts saying things like, "I'm proud of you," or "You did the right thing." Even relatives who never spoke much to her started respecting her in a way she hadn't felt before. They could see the courage it took to stand up to people who were supposed to love her unconditionally. For the first time in her life, Nia realized something powerful. She had stood her ground without apology. She had defended herself, her hard work, and her independence, even when everyone around her was trying to make her feel guilty. Her family's attempts to control her had completely failed. All the guilt trips, the crying, the shouting, the manipulation, they hadn't worked. Nia felt a strange mix of relief and pride. She had finally taken a stand, and no one could take that away from her. Life didn't suddenly become perfect. Some tensions still lingered with certain family members, and there were awkward conversations and cold shoulders at family events. But Nia felt different inside. Stronger. More confident. She had learned that protecting herself didn't make her a bad person. It made her smart, brave, and independent. As she walked through her apartment, looking around at the space she had fought to keep, she realized this wasn't just about walls and furniture. It was about respect. It was about her voice. It was about finally proving, to herself and everyone else, that she mattered. And for the first time, Nia truly believed it. No one could take that away. Months passed and finally Nia could breathe. Sitting on the small couch in her apartment, she looked around at the space she had fought so hard to protect. Every corner, every piece of furniture, every little decoration reminded her of the long nights, the sacrifices, and the battles she had faced to get here. This wasn't just a home. It was proof that she could stand on her own. She thought about everything that had happened. Her family showing up, the arguments, the calls, the guilt, and the fear. It had hurt deeply. Being betrayed by people she loved was painful, more than she could have imagined. But as she sat there, the hurt began to feel different. It wasn't just pain, it was a lesson. A lesson in strength, in boundaries, and in courage. Nia realized something powerful. Protecting your peace sometimes means standing up against the very people you care about. It's not easy. It doesn't feel natural. But it's necessary. She had spent years trying to please everyone, trying to fit into what they expected of her. And now she knew, pleasing others at the cost of her own life and happiness wasn't worth it. Her apartment was more than walls and a roof. It was her independence. It was her story of struggle and perseverance. It was proof that she could fight and that she could win, even when the odds were stacked against her. And this time, she didn't back down. Nia smiled quietly to herself, feeling a peace she had never known before. This space, her life, her choices, they were hers and hers alone. And for the first time she felt truly free.